Hello, I'm Angela Wamboy, and these are the stories making headlines on Capital TV. South African Paralympic athlete Oscar Pistorius has been sentenced to 5 years for killing his girlfriend last year. Judge Thokozile Masipa, who read out the sentence Tuesday morning, also imposed a 3-year suspended sentence which will run concurrently with the 5-year jail term. He is accused of shooting his girlfriend, Riva Steenkamp, to death on Valentine's Day last year and was found guilty of culpable homicide. The judge has assured that Pistorius will be accorded all his constitutional rights while in custody, but can seek legal redress if he feels any is violated. His lawyers had argued that Pistorius would be more vulnerable than most in prison because of his disability and called for 3 years of correctional supervision, the equivalent of house arrest for the 27-year-old.
No, guys. No.
The International Criminal Court has warned the Kenyan government against leaking classified filings to the media in the case against President Uhuru Kenyatta. Trial Chamber 5 judges say the Kenyan government appears not to have taken necessary steps to ensure filings remain confidential where necessary. The trial chamber says the breach concerns an article on the request to freeze President Kenyatta's assets, which was published by a section of the Kenyan media. As a result of the action, the chamber says it has found it necessary to reclassify certain documents where the basis for a classification no longer exists. The government has extended a nighttime curfew on Lamu County despite protests by the Law Society of Kenya. Inspector General Police David Kimaiyo says nobody should venture outdoors in Lamu between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. until November 23rd as security teams seek to pacify the area following the Mpeketoni mass killings in June. The LSK had last week demanded lifting of the curfew, with Chairman Eric Matua arguing that it was an infringement of constitutional rights of the residents. But Kimaiyo says the expansive Boni Forest and adjoining forests remain prohibited areas to allow police to normalize security in the county.
In accordance with the provisions of Section 8, Subsection 1 of the Public Order Act, Cap 56 Laws of Kenya, do hereby issue an extension of curfew orders within Lamu County from 22nd October 2014, starting from 6:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. every day to 23rd November 2014 at 6:30 a.m. Every person residing within the Lamu County is directed to remain indoors during the period the curfew order is in force, except under and in accordance with the terms and conditions of a written permit granted by the police county commander.
And in the world of business, Safaricom has, for the 7th year in a row, emerged the nation's largest taxpayers in the 2013-2014 financial year. In this year's recognition of top taxpayers by the Kenya Revenue Authority, Safaricom was followed by the Teacher Service Commission, which took 3rd position last year. The Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government emerged 3rd. Speaking while gracing the annual occasion, President Uhuru Kenyatta called on all taxpayers to ensure that apart from giving what is due to KRA, they should also be keen on monitoring the expenditure. Others who appeared in the top 10 list are Kenya Commercial Bank, Kenya Breweries Limited, Equity Bank, Standard Chartered, Barclays Bank, Kenya Pipeline Company, and the Health Ministry.
I also want to remind you, but also keep an eye on how we spend that money. It is your responsibility to keep an eye. If you see money being misused, if you see people in my government following the route of corruption, please don't hesitate. Let it be known. Let it be known. Report to the appropriate authorities. If you feel you have no faith and confidence in those authorities, put it out in the media. These days there are so many anonymous things going out there, so it doesn't really make a difference. The important thing is that we must put an end to the misuse of public funds in this country. It has to come to an end.
And finally, from the sports desk, the Kenya Rugby Union has challenged the government to state whether it has confidence in the qualification and integrity of members of a committee that claim that alleged sportsmen. And finally, from the sports desk, The Kenya Rugby Union has challenged the government to state whether it has confidence in the qualification and integrity of members of a committee that alleged sportsmen, among them members of the national rugby team, used illegal food supplements. KRU boss Mwangi Muthee pointed out only one player had failed a doping test in 2005, adding that sevens players who play up to 9 months in a year around the world are tested by standards set by the World Anti-Doping Agency and the International Rugby Board, and none has tested positive since. The Professor Moni Wekesa-led committee claimed supplements given to players contained steroids after testing, although it did not elaborate whether they were outside the permitted levels by WADA. And that's a wrap-up of the day's top stories. I've been your host, Angela Wambui. For more on these and other stories, log on to www.capitalfm.co.ke/TV.